You could be blasé about some things, Rose, but not about Titanic.
Oh, that is true enough. You cannot be blasé about the Titanic. Of course, the great ship, just over a century ago, made its final, left England, its final time on its way to New York City. Of course, we all know never made it, and creating with that legends and lore just about the Titanic over the last 100 years, shrouded in mystery until it was discovered not too long ago, actually at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. And we're lucky enough here in Columbia to have an exhibit with some actual artifacts from the Titanic itself. Of course, the South Carolina State Museum. Tut Underwood, my friend, welcome.
Good to see you, Tyler.
I was telling Jen earlier, I've been loving the Titanic long before the movie. It has nothing
Right.
to love the movie.
Subject of endless fascination.
But yeah, just the whole thing just always fascinated me.
Right.
And when I learned earlier this year, I guess you guys were going to have this at the museum, I was excited, and I still am.
I think a lot of people have been excited, Tyler. Titanic, the Artifact Exhibition, has just opened at the State Museum, running through the summer, and we have 125 actual artifacts from the bottom of the ocean, recovered from the wreck of the Titanic. Now, here we have a few things that are reproductions of these things. You will not see these things exactly in the exhibit, but things like them, and some even more fascinating things, from personal items like combs and wallets and playing cards and stuff like that. It's just amazing. It tells a story. So many. There's one, a perfume salesman was going from London to New York to sell his wares and had a lot of little samples and stuff. They recovered the sample thing. You can, in a case, see a vial of perfume, and they've got holes in the case. You can stick your nose up and actually smell the perfume after 100 years.
Well, I guess you're entombed down there in the bottom of the ocean, unless it gets disturbed. It's kind of encapsulated.
Right. A lot of things, of course, were destroyed because there are microorganisms that were eating up the metal and eating up the wood. But amazingly, anything that was wrapped in leather was preserved because the tanning process at the time used a chemical that repelled the microorganisms at the bottom of the ocean. So the money in a wallet, for example, or clothes in a leather valise or suitcase were preserved. And of course, they were sealed by that 6,000 pounds per square inch pressure. So it's amazing. They have set up au gratin dishes lying on the bottom of the ocean in the sand. The box they were in, the wooden box, dissolved around them, but the dishes were perfectly preserved, just settled down in the sand.
It's amazing what Mother Nature does when it all comes to, man.
Exactly.
We've got some items here. Now these are reproductions of this. We'll get to the coal in a second. But these actually are exact reproductions.
Of the, for example, some of the dishes here. This is a third class bowl here, a soup bowl. It's very simple with the White Star Line.
This is how it would have looked back in 1912, with the logo and everything in there.
Right.
Okay, so that's a third class. You drool because they probably did not dine on the finest of meat.
Right, and then of course the second class plate, again, still with the thing, but very much nicer, as you see. There were much differences in the classes, what they ate, what they used, and even the staterooms that they stayed in. The first class plate, as you showed earlier.
Nice gold etchings there.
And you can actually see some reproductions of a third class room, which is little bunk beds, and a first class room, which was very elegant. Cost $50,000 in today's money to go in the first class room.
My goodness. This is an old toothpaste container.
That's correct.
Long before the tubes, kids. Long before the tubes.
Right.
And of course, it's got the markings of the White Star Line and the title, and it's kind of a cool little thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
they
really
use those
neat.
on the ship. Speaking of toiletries, the soap there, you've got a reproduction. Everybody got a bar of that soap. Very, very fragrant, because people didn't bathe as much as, of course, in those days as they do now, and so they wanted to make sure they smelled good when they took a bath.
Now, this is actually, what I understand, this is actually something off the Titanic
that is real.
You can own. You can
That's
actually
correct.
take a piece of the real Titanic home.
Right. All these things, by the way, are in our museum store, or the actual Titanic store off the end of the exhibit. But this is a real piece of coal from the hold of the Titanic. You can purchase that. That is an actual little chunk of coal.
That's kind of, you actually bring home a real piece of the Titanic.
Right. In the exhibit, you can see a huge chunk of coal, about yay big, that they shoveled into the fires, to create the steam and that kind of thing. That plaque contains a reproduction of the first class menu. Elegant stuff. And the first.
What were they dining on that night? Let's see. Oysters, of course, filet, lamb, roast duckling. There you go, roast duckling. Very, very nice. If you're first class, you were loving life.
Oh, yes.
At least for the first day or two of the voyage.
Exactly.
Anyway. Exactly. All right. Tut Underwood. Through the summertime, the Titanic, the artifacts exhibit on display at South Carolina State Museum.
Right. Come on down and see it.
Awesome, great stuff. Things actually were on the Titanic. They brought up out of the ocean.
$18 for adults, $15 for seniors, $12 for kids, and that includes general admission. so you can see the whole
Okay, that
shebang.
includes admission as well. Okay,
Absolutely,
fantastic.
and everything you can find out more information on SouthCarolinaStateMuseum.org.
Just like that. Of course, we'll put links for you at MidlandsConnect.com as well.
Excellent.
So
Thank you so
fantastic.
much.
Tut, thank you for bringing this piece of
Righto.
history. This is very, very cool, my friends.
Right, come see us.
We'll
You want
see
to see
down
it
there.
once you see it once, you'll probably want to see it 2 or 3 more times.
Did you ever
so
see the
come
movie
it early.
Titanic?
Yes, I did.
Was there room on the door for Jack at the end?
I don't know that. I'm not such a scholar that I know that.
There's got to be somebody who can answer this question for me. All right, guys. A home run for the capital city. Business is cashing in on the big college baseball regional. How it could be a heavy hitter for the local economies coming up. Stay with us. It's 8:27. And there was room on that door.